Hi, everybody. Jeff Wise here with you. It's been about 16 hours since a Canadair regional jet operated by American Airlines collided with an Army Blackhawk helicopter and crashed into the Potomac River, killing everyone aboard both aircraft. While it's still very early and important information has yet to emerge, I want to share some preliminary thoughts with you, especially about why the US Army Blackhawk helicopter flight crew is being blamed for the crash. First, some basic details. The American Airlines flight had departed from Wichita, Kansas, and it was on a normal approach to Reagan's runway 33. It was at an altitude of approximately 300 feet over the Potomac when it struck the helicopter, which was flying from north to south over the river. The Blackhawk had taken off from Fort Belvoir in Virginia, was part of the 12th Aviation Battalion. Shortly before the collision, air traffic control asked the helicopter's pilot if he had the airliner in sight, according to audio of the exchange posted to liveatc.net. According to the Wall Street Journal, quote, "The battalion is responsible for transporting VIP passengers, usually top Pentagon leaders. There were 3 crew members on board," the official said, "but none were VIPs. The 3 troops on board the Black Hawk were conducting a training flight." Appearing at a press conference Thursday morning, the newly confirmed Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, insisted that both aircraft had been following standard routes.
The helicopter was in a standard pattern. If you live in the D.C. area, you'll see helicopters up and down the river. This flight pattern is seen oftentimes when you live in D.C. This was a standard flight pattern last night as well. The American Airlines flight coming into land was in a standard flight pattern as it was coming into DCA. So this was not unusual with a military aircraft flying the river and aircraft landing at DCA. And again, if you live in the area, you'll see that frequently with those 2 aircraft working together.
However, route maps of the area published by the FAA for use by helicopter pilots show that helicopters are supposed to remain below 200 feet on this part of the city's airspace, and they're supposed to hug the eastern shore of the Potomac. The last data point reported by the plane's automatic position reporting system, ADSB, showed it at an altitude of 275 feet and a quarter mile from the eastern bank. All of this to me suggests that it was the Blackhawk that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That idea was echoed, by the way, by President Trump at a Thursday press conference in which he said that, quote, "the people in the helicopter should have seen where they were going."
We had a situation where you had a helicopter that had the ability to stop. I have helicopters. You can stop a helicopter very quickly. It had the ability to go up or down. It had the ability to turn. And the turn it made was not the correct turn, obviously. It did somewhat the opposite of what it was told. We don't know that that would have been the difference because the timing was so tight. It was so little. There was so little time to think. But what you did have is you had vision. The helicopter had vision of the plane because you had vision of it all the way, perfect vision of it all the way from at Kennedy Center where the tape was taken.
I reached out to aviation attorney Jim Braukla. He had this to say, quote, "My answer would be that 100 feet altitude deviation is not all that uncommon. The biggest issue to me is why there is a helicopter route on a final approach to a major runway and only deconflicted by perhaps 100 or 200 feet. To me, that just doesn't seem like prudent routing." Midair collisions involving airliners, while a major potential hazard of civil aviation, are extremely rare, at least in the United States. It was one such accident in 1956 when 2 airliners collided over the Grand Canyon that led to the establishment of the modern air traffic control system as we know it today. The system has proven remarkably effective in recent decades. The last such crash that I was able to find, looking back through the internet, the last one I found was in 1987 when a SkyWest Airlines, a turboprop airliner, collided with a small propeller plane near Salt Lake City, killing 2 crew members and 6 passengers. So a tiny tiny airliner, not really comparable to what happened yesterday. So the system has a pretty solid track record for many years, but lately it's been starting to show its cracks. In 2023, the New York Times reported numerous examples of near misses had occurred at airports throughout the United States. So let's pull back and look at what this all means. Aviation safety is unglamorous. It's even plodding, and it requires meticulous attention to detail. You have to follow regular procedures. Every single part on every aircraft is meticulously logged and tracked. Flight crew follow written checklists for every single procedure, from startup and taxi to landing and shutdown. The end result of all this hard work is that if everything goes as planned, is literally a non-event. Nothing happens. There's an absence of tragedy. And it's easy to take that for granted. Several countervailing forces are pushing back against that, including pressure for airlines to operate more profitably and for passengers to have cheaper and more convenient flights. Safe operation is particularly challenging at Reagan. It's a small airport very close to Washington, D.C. city center, and its users include a large number of people with considerable power over the aviation system itself. Members of Congress have pressured the FAA to increase the number of flights operating in and out of the airport, despite agency concerns that Reagan is too small to safely handle all that traffic. The flight that crashed yesterday was conducting a route added last year as a result of pressure from Kansas Senator Jerry Moran, a Republican.
I know that flight. I've flown it many times myself. I lobbied American Airlines to begin having a direct nonstop flight service to DCA. That flight has been in existence about a year.
The FAA's ongoing safety efforts are also under assault from the incoming Trump administration's burn it down approach to government. On January 20th, the Federal Aviation Administration Administrator Mike Whitaker, he resigned, reportedly because he'd been asked to by Elon Musk, who was also behind a sweeping effort to encourage across-the-board resignations of civil servants. The next day, on the 21st, Trump eliminated the Aviation Security Advisory Committee, which had advised the TSA on airline safety. At this point, it's not even clear what Republicans' agenda will mean for the FAA. It's easy to declare that government does nothing to benefit the people of the United States, that all regulations are bad, that government is the problem, not the solution. But one of the things that the FAA is in charge of is making sure that planes don't collide with one another. As the saying goes, screw around and find out. And yesterday's crash makes it pretty clear that we are right now in the find out stage of the process. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you'd like to learn more, please check out my show page at findingmh370.com. And if you really like what you see, you can sign up for a paid subscription there. That would be hugely appreciated. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.